Good morning again from my side. In order for us to start, we must have a quorum. And for that reason, I would request the Portfolio Secretary to inform me accordingly.
Good morning, Chairperson. We are not corrected yet as yet, Chair. We need one more member to join.
Noted, and thank you.
Chairperson, we have a quorum.
Good morning, and thank you so much, Portfolio Secretary. Welcome, honorable members. I will do the official, as usual, welcoming much later. Honorable members and guests, we are going to deal with the agenda here today, and in front of us is an agenda of which we will meet with both the department as well as NLSA pertaining to the implementation of the Gobodo investigation recommendations. We will also hear from the National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union on the implementation of the Gobodo investigation recommendations. Following these presentations, we will then have discussions and also closure. May I ask that we go on with this meeting, and if there is a proposal and a seconder, please feel free to do so.
I propose the adoption of the agenda as it is, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Tetwa. Honorable Potgieter, is that a seconder?
Correct, Chair. I will second the agenda.
Thank you so much for that. And with that said, is there any apologies, Portfolio Secretary, from the department, the ministry?
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members, everyone on the platform. Chairperson, we do have an apology from the DG. She's attending the African Union Sport Council sessions, where she's a member of the Advisory Council. We have an apology from Mr. Daniels. He'll be traveling, Chair, and he might lose connectivity if he joins the meeting. We also have an apology from Ms. Mutambi. She's also traveling today, Chair. She's also going to join the meeting and will have to leave us and rejoin again. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Is there any other honorable member that would like to hand in any apology on behalf of any colleague? From the side of NLSA? CEO?
Morning, Chair.
Good morning. You may proceed.
Yeah, one of our board members are not yet on the line, but when he comes, we will address that. Mr. Masuku.
Thank you so much for that information. Please note, PC Secretary, Honorable Kobani.
Chair, I'll be leaving the meeting by 11:30 because I'm attending another meeting in KZN.
So noted, Honorable Kobani. Honorable members, let me start with my welcoming speech. With that said, I saw another hand. Honorable Mataung, are you also leaving early?
Yes, sir. We have a meeting. So I think even Gugu as well might have the same problem. Once we get into that meeting, we cannot be able to maybe to listen, or we can listen, but in terms of interacting, it might be a problem.
I see another two hands. Feel free to do so. Representative of NLSA.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair. My name is Sia Masugu, board member of NLSA. Just confirming that I am indeed online. Thank you.
Thank you. So noted. I see another hand. Or is that a legacy hand?
Good evening, now representative. Just informing you that the branch secretary, Jack Lahodi, is trying to connect, so he might join us a bit later. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Honorable members, misgovernance, mismanagement, and maladministration remain amongst the most persistent afflictions facing many government entities and institutions. These challenges manifest in the conduct of officials, in flawed practices, and in weak policies and procedures. The consequences are dire and are far-reaching, which include irregular and wasteful expenditure of public resources, declining performance of entities entrusted with service delivery, erosion of employees pertaining to their relationship and also the morale in the working place. And like in the most recent developments, the diversion of resources away from core mandates. This critically increase a burden on oversight bodies such as us, honorable members. Honorable members, we should not give up. In South Africa, these malpractices have often been brought to light through painstaking, courageous, and at times life-threatening efforts of whistleblowers. Their resilience has ensured that the rot within certain institutions, like the South African Police Service, did not go unchallenged. Indeed, honorable members, the Zondo Commission affirmed that a bona fide whistleblower who reports wrongdoing should receive, as a matter of urgency, effective protection from retaliation. We as Parliament must fight for this. We as Parliament must do much more for this. Sadly, the National Library of South Africa has not been immune to such challenges. Concerns raised by the whistleblowers were duly brought to the attention of the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. To its credit, the department commissioned a forensic investigation to interrogate these issues and provide recommendations for corrective action. Today's briefing, therefore, is pivotal. We seek to understand the progress made in implementing the Gobodo Investigative Report's recommendation. Millions are being spent and lost on forensic reports, yet results are scarce. As jy wil resultate sien, moet jy gaan soek. If you want results of the forensic reports, you must go look for it. It's very scarce. Meanwhile, it is us, South Africans, who grappled with the devastating loss of lives. It is in this context, honorable members, that I have invited the National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union, NEHAU, and I want to thank them for their presence here today. I appeal to members here today not to engage or divulge any information of the report, but carefully listen and engage the presentation. From my side as the chairperson, I have ensured utmost confidentiality and protection to whistleblowers. Also note that the report has been sent to you in confidentiality. It is thus important for us not to mention or to call any names. I would like to thank the department also for making this report available and its efforts to assess how these measures are stabilizing the entity, strengthening governance, and ensuring that NLSA fulfills its mandate with integrity and efficiency. With that said, honorable members, I would like the portfolio secretary to inform me as to whether a legal representative from Parliament is in this meeting. And if so, I would like to give her also, as part of the welcoming, an opportunity to have a very quick slot pertaining to the views as far as the forensic audit report is concerned. Is Tracy
yes,
on?
Chairperson, we do have Tracy in the meeting, Chairperson.
Tracy, please proceed.
Hi, good morning, members, Honourable Chairperson and guests. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, Ms. Given. You may proceed.
Thanks. I'm going to turn my camera off just because I seem to lose connectivity while in the office. And if I do drop off, if the committee secretary can just let me know and I'll be back on. Just allow me to join back on. So the issue that I understand that needs to be considered by the committee is that there's a confidential report which has a disclaimer. That disclaimer would be an agreement between the requester, being the department, and the author. It's not binding on those who are not party to that agreement. However, the requester has provided this report to Parliament on the basis that it is confidential and has included certain provisos. And these are that it's only used for the oversight function of Parliament, that the personal information in that report is redacted, that there's no further disclosure to third parties of the content of the report, and that the report has to be handled securely and destroyed once this process has been finalized. Alternatively, the report is to be returned to the department. Lastly, if there's a breach of any of the security whilst the report is in Parliament's possession, then the data subjects need to be advised of those breaches. So in considering whether or not the Portfolio Committee has to comply with the conditions that are being imposed by the department, the starting point is, of course, the Constitution. So Section 59(1) of the Constitution provides that the National Assembly has to facilitate public involvement, which includes that of its committees in the conduct of their business in an open and transparent manner, which includes holding all of its sittings in public. Furthermore, the committee is exercising its powers in terms of Section 55(2) of the Constitution, which mandates it to have oversight over the executive and organs of state, as well as oversight over the implementation of legislation. In addition to the Constitution, the promotion of access to information gives effect to the guarantee which is provided in Section 32 of the Constitution that all persons have access to information which is held by the state. So this framework gives effect to the undertaking of government to move from a system of secrecy to one that fosters a culture of openness, transparency, and accountability. That said, PIA does afford, that's the Promotion of Access to Information Act, does afford certain privacy protections, and that is in relation to commercial information of third parties, as well as when there's a need to protect the safety and security of individuals. Then, of course, that can also be overridden where the disclosure reveals substantial contraventions of or failures to comply with the law, or there's an imminent risk to public safety, or there's an environmental risk. So for the committee to have closed meetings, Rule 184 of the National Assembly rules permits that to occur in instances where the matter's of a private nature or it's going to be prejudicial to a particular person. Lastly, there's the Protected Disclosures Act, which provides for protection for employees and workers of companies or entities or public bodies, and it affords them protection when they're making certain disclosures. Now, this isn't per se a whistleblowers act, and it does only afford protections to workers and employees. It doesn't afford protections to independent contractors, volunteers, and other persons. However, it's in this context, and noting that the documents that were made available to the committee are available to the public, needs to consider whether or not the meeting discussing the report needs to be closed. Now, consider the fact that the National Library for South Africa is a public body. It's a national public body in terms of Schedule 3, Part A of the Public Finance Management Act. It's subjected to controls by the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, the Auditor General, and it's established in terms of national legislation. So, in terms of this, parliaments will be able to exercise oversight thereover, not only in terms of its oversight of the executives, but also in terms of the implementation of national legislation. Now, Section 32, subsection 2, subsection F of the Protection of Personal Information Act provides that records cannot be refused where the information pertains to an individual who's an official within a public body, which relates to the powers and functions of the individual, such as their work title, their work address, their email, their telephone numbers, and particulars regarding their title and the functions that they perform within that entity. However, it's in this instance that the report, I'm advised, may contain personal information of persons who may be seen as whistleblowers, and as such, as the chairpersons alluded to, taken from the Zondo report, there's a need to keep their information private. Now, our office has developed a test that the committee can consider in order to determine whether or not there is a need to close the meeting when you're discussing certain information. And it's a two-part test. So firstly, you have to look at whether or not the document relates to proceedings or evidence or a report or summary of a proceeding that was conducted in a closed meeting in terms of NA Rule 184, subsection 1, or if it contains a prohibition by the submitter declaring it as confidential. So in this instance, you have the department declaring that the report is confidential. So if you're answering yes to part B, then you have to consider whether or not the document is a record which contains information of a private nature, which is prejudicial to a particular person. There's three other instances which I'm not sure are relevant to this committee, so I'm not going to discuss them for the sake of brevity, but it is contained within the opinion. So because there's an allegation that there is whistleblower information or that there are potentially protected disclosures in the report, then you are sitting within the fact that not only is the report containing a prohibition, declaring it confidential, but you also have a potential report which contains information of a private nature, and it may be prejudicial to those persons if that information becomes public. So having answered yes to those two questions, then you need to establish whether the disclosure would be reasonable and justifiable in an open and democratic society. Now, I don't want to answer the question for the committee, but we have proposed in our conclusion for our opinion that the committee will need to consider the content of the report in a closed meeting prior to an open meeting in order to determine if the content thereof warrants the redaction of any information. Alternatively, whether the discussion on certain aspects of the report needs to take place in a closed meeting, taking the considerations that I've mentioned into account. Obviously, I should have premised in the introduction that I haven't had sight of the report, so the members are in a better position than I am to determine the ongoing procedure for this meeting. Thank you, Chairperson. That concludes my summary of the opinion that I provided.
Thank you so much, Councillor, and thank you so much for always being available in providing, us with these kinds of reports pertaining to confidentiality. We also would like to appreciate your time and efforts that went through in preparing the first document. And I would like to say on behalf of the committee, we really indeed appreciate your expertise in this invaluable assistance that will actually give us a better sight in how we're going to navigate complex issues of this nature. And with that said, I would argue that it is the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, and perhaps also NEHAU, that must have an opportunity to respond to the issue as to whether the presentations that they are going to deliver to us is of such a nature that it will lead to evidence. If that response is yes, then I get it that this committee must meet in camera to perhaps discuss that. What rightfully said in terms of various points that you have mentioned, that to a greater extent, the fact that we are dealing with a public body at large, we do have an oversight role to play as Parliament. So if the disclosure then, if there is a reasonable doubt that the disclosure of the presentation in this particular case, like I've said, we are not going to deal with the Gobodo forensic report because we have been informed that it is a confidential report, and we are not going to refer to that report, particularly if I say we, members, and actually I would love that to include those who's going to make the presentations as well. And it is for that reason that I think maybe it will just be right, Ms. Given, to request from both the department and how to indicate to this meeting as to whether the information pertaining to their presentation will lead to evidence. If the answer is no, we will be able to proceed. That applies to the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture as well. If their presentation will lead to evidence or any disclosure that will give a reasonable doubt to that presentation and informed us, then I get it that we will then meet in confidentiality or rather in camera as a committee. I'm going to ask for your view on what I have said in terms of a rebuttal to what you have said, and then I will then also give an opportunity to both the department and how to respond on what I have said. Are you happy with that procedure, Ms. Gibbon?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. I agree with the proposal. I would just caution that with this one caveat, because I know that members have had sight of the report, then in any response or follow-up questions that they are cautious in using any names.
Members, I hope that everyone is taking note of that and we take cognizance of what you said. I'm going to call upon the department to respond.
Good morning, Chairperson. From our side, my name is Vusitem Bandima. I'm just standing on for the DG, who is...
Please proceed, Mr. Ndima.
Yes. No, Chairperson, from our side, really, we were going to just give a summary of how we got involved into the investigation, because we commissioned the Gobodo forensic report. We're just going to do a summary without mentioning any names, where the processes were, and maybe allow then the NLSA, maybe the NLSA must then explain whether the content of their presentation is likely to kind of give out names. But from our side, we're not going to mention any name. We're just going to do a summary. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ndima. I think the pertinent and straightforward, crisp, direct question is whether your report has the potential that will lead to evidence or disclose anything that will give reasonable doubt that we should not have a meeting of this nature.
Yeah, maybe let me allow my colleague who is, our legal advisor to advise on that, because I don't really want to venture into that territory. Thank you.
The more the merrier. Welcome. Please proceed.
Mr. Mokubeti Benedict, if you can please advise on the matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting DG, and good morning, Chair. Good morning as well to Tracy, your legal advisor on that end, as well as the PC members. Chair, without regurgitating what has already been said, we are of the strenuous view that maybe the discussion should first proceed by being held in camera, in as far as the report is concerned, because as you may have known or have taken note of our letter, we did indicate that the report in itself contain certain privileged information that may require protection. Yes, we are mindful that the NLSA provides a public function, and as such, a disclosure would be warranted. But in compliance with other legal prescripts, it is the department's view that, or position that, rather this particular discussion, in as far as the Gobodo report is concerned, it be first held in camera. And should the committee wants to take the public into confidence, it would have at least had a prior discussion, and they will be in a better position as well to omit certain information that may be warranted to be protected. So the short and simple answer, Chair, is that we concur with Tracy's submission that let's rather first hold an in-camera session. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, we are facing two issues here. I take note of the issue of the Gobodo report, but in front of us now, in terms of the agenda, will be two or three presentations. The department, NLSA, as well as NEHAU. Now, I want to get certainty as the chairperson as to whether those presentations will be conflict to information that will lead to evidence, or that will disclose anything that may have a potential for us not discussing it. I think that is the question. I agree, as both legal advisors have said, the report, we are not going to deal with the report. But members have perused those reports. Members may perhaps ask questions without names or make particular reference to individuals consisting in that particular report. I think we must get that understanding. And yes, I agree that when it comes to the report that has been sent to us, there is just no way that we can have a discussion of that report unless it is in a closed meeting. So let's deal with the issue of the presentation, because once presentations will be made here this morning, we will have an opportunity to discuss that presentation. Now, I would like to find out as to whether that or those particular discussions that are going to take place, will those discussions not have a negative bearing on the report? I see a hand, Mr. Bernardo.
Yes, morning, Chair. Again, I'm the chairperson of the library. Chair, inadvertently, in terms of our presentation that we'll be making, we will make reference based on certain positions, in the actions that we would have taken in terms of those positions. And so based on those positions, inadvertently, you can connect names with it. And so we would ask that this discussion in terms of the presentation be closed at this stage. Because they would be in terms of the actions that the library has taken in terms of those positions. And it may be not correct for us at this stage to divulge that information publicly.
Thank you. That's very important information. Let's hear what Nahao has to say.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members and members of the board of the NLSA. Chair, our submission or our presentation will also touch and lead to evidence and possibly a discussion will be opened. So based on that, Chair, in camera would be preferred just to protect the individuals. Thank you.
That's NLSA. Now,
Chair, that is I am the branch chair for NLSA campus.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. And how do you pronounce the surname?
Arifdin.
Oh, Arifdin. I thought there was something else behind after the N. Now, Ms. Given, my only challenge here now, in terms of the request and the revelations being made, is that from the look of things, if we would like to have a closed meeting, automatically that will then expect every newspaper, the screening, and a PMG to leave this meeting. But my challenge is then today is that in terms of the rules of Parliament, this committee can't have a closed meeting without getting permission from the House Chair. May I ask for the view of Ms. Given? Then I'm going to ask a closer for 5 minutes before I'm going to make a ruling. Ms. Given, your view?
Chairperson, you are correct. There's a process to follow in order for the meeting to be closed. However, when considering I didn't get the name of the chairperson for the National Library South Africa. I
am Bernardo Merrick, the chairperson of the National Library.
Oh, hi, Bernardo. The presentation that they're making, if names are not mentioned in that presentation, and the connection to names from the position that's being taken, I'm not sure that that's sufficient to warrant the closure of.
It will be sufficient. Okay. Because automatically there was just one particular individual in that position.
Okay. Then, Chairperson, yes, you are correct. There's a process you need to follow to close this meeting.
Okay, honourable members and guests, I'm going to ask the following questions to both DSEC and NLSA. Your presentation that you've sent, has it been sent with provisions?
Maybe if you can elaborate, Chairperson, if you say with provision, what does that mean?
Well, that we should not mention names or do's and don'ts in this particular thing. Please raise your hand if you would like to speak. Who was that? There is on your gadget and a button to raise a hand. Whether it is the presentation is confidential, whether names, something to that effect. I can just see the name Vusitemba. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. Our presentation from the departmental point of view was just a summary on matters of governance without necessarily mentioning any names of any person. And towards the end of it, it was just doing the summary without necessarily putting any name. Thank you.
Yeah, but there's a concern from the legal desk as to whether linkages will be made to names. If there is linkages to names, as the legal advisor have said, and even Mr. Bernardo, then we're going to have problems. Mr. Bernardo?
Okay.
Chairperson, you are correct, because, the immediate connection, because there's only one person in that particular position, even if we just deal and focus on that position, the immediate linkage could be made. Although we didn't provide in terms of the meeting confidentially, it was our understanding that because of that principle, this meeting would be confidential.
Okay, make more sense. Any response must given before I'm going to adjourn for 5 minutes, not the meeting. We're just going to adjourn for 5 minutes before I'm coming back with a ruling on this matter.
Thank you, Chairperson. My only response is that the issue of confidentiality that I have been alluding to is in relation to whistleblowers. It's not the protection of persons that are in the employ of an organ of state. They are not protected by Section 32 of FOPIA.
Okay, honorable members, with all the deliberations, inputs, may I thank you, everyone who have contributed to that. I'm going to, it's 6 minutes past. I'm going to adjourn the meeting for 10 minutes. Let's say we will be back 20 past before I make a ruling, if that is possible. Is that enough time, PC Secretary? Unmute.
I'm in, Chair. Do you want us to...
I want us to adjourn. Members can stay on the platform. I just want us to adjourn this meeting for 5 minutes. I have an interval for 5 minutes.
No, you can do that, but the meeting will still be broadcasted, Chair, the adjournment. They won't be able to switch it on off.
Okay. Okay. So, honorable members and guests, we will be together in 10 minutes then. Thank you.
Chairperson, are you on or what?
He's just checking a few things. We've adjourned for a short period.
Oh, okay.
May I ask that the portfolio secretary indicate as to whether the 10 minutes is expired in order for us to proceed?
Yes, Chair, we can proceed. It expired, Chair.
I don't know for what reason someone has just disabled my video for keeps. And I know it is Jabu.
No, Chair, it's not me. I'm trying to get there.
Thank you so much. It's fine now. Honorable members and guests, may I take this opportunity to extend my sincere thanks to all of you, also for your patience and your commitment pertaining and following our earlier decision to adjourn this meeting to seek clarity on the issues. I must say thank you so much, and thank you for that kind of engagement. Now, honorable members, the question is whether the content of the presentation contains reference to persons who should be afforded protection. We're talking about whistleblowers here. So whether the content of the presentations that going to make contains reference to persons who should be afforded protection, such as those who have made protected disclosures or those who could be considered whistleblowers in the ordinary sense of the meaning of the word whistleblower. Taking into account that we do not have whistleblower legislation yet, the intent is not to provide protection to those against whom may be consequence management for breaches of statutory obligations in the employ of the organ of state. So, Mr. Bernardo, if the person or the name or the position is linked or attached to someone who is within the employment of an organ of state, it does not apply to that individual. If the content of the presentation contain information pertaining to employees within the organ of state or have breached any legislative provisions, then the meeting can proceed. And it's only if those presentations contain whistleblowers or protected disclosure information that we would propose that the meeting stand down in order for the committee to follow the process to have a closed meeting as advised by Parliament's legal team. So my gut feeling to the legal advisor, both legal advisors of NSLA as well as the legal advisor for Parliament, is that we have or must proceed with this meeting, because having read the Gobodo report, there are employees that was or still is in the organ of state that might form part of the presentation. If that is the case, we can proceed. But if the presentation form part of whistleblowers, then we are duty bound to protect those whistleblowers. I see a hand, Mr. Bernardo.
Chairperson, yes, I hear what you are saying. Chairperson, I want to allude you to a matter that relates back to a presentation that was done before the Portfolio Committee in 2017. The then CEO and board chair made a presentation to the Portfolio Committee regarding a certain employee, a former employee. The presentation was made on certain issues. The former employee then took the board, as well as the CEO, as well as the department, to High Court. That matter is still waiting for trial, and it will take place is set down for the 31st of May 2027. So if it's your ruling that this particular presentation of the board should be made public and in the public domain, then the board would seek legal advice before we would go through the presentation. So we would then not be in a position today to present the presentation that we have forwarded to the portfolio committee. So the board would hold that presentation until we have legal advice on that matter.
May I ask the Parliament's legal advisor to respond to that?
Hi, Chairperson. I'm not aware of the case that Bernardo refers to, though naturally, if anybody, nothing that can be said at this meeting can fall within the category of defamation, and it may be, I'm not privy to whatever the content of the claim is between the individual and the board, so I can't advise Parliament thereon. But as part of your oversight function, you would have privilege in terms of the legislation.
Yes, of course, and also that the presentation being sent to Parliament is public information. Department Sports, Arts and Culture? You guys are quiet.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I would still want to refer the matter. I see that there is a colleague of mine, Ms. Mandisa Chikwatamba, might want to say something. Thank you.
Ms. Mandisa? Please unmute.
Yes, Chairperson, trying hard. Technology is opposing me. Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning to the honorable members in all, NLSA leadership, DSEC leadership, and all in the meeting. I'm listening very well, Chairperson, and I read that it's a very difficult lane to balance. But I have a belief that would rather balance it from a question of erring than us finding ourselves in the middle of the presentation and we find it being difficult not to cross the line. If I start with what Mr. Marulak has said, just to provide clarity in that, the case here refers to it may just, when we are getting to discussion, be an unavoidable subject not to go into, because it is a matter that is being argued in a way that says this matter is not featuring in the Gobodo Forensic Investigation report, and correctly so, because legally we were advised to leave it under litigation matters, because though it has reference to this report, Gobodo Forensic.
Just a second. I hear what you are saying. As the chairperson of and in terms of what is explained, here is my biggest challenge. If this report contains the absence of whistleblowers, then I don't see any reason why we cannot proceed. And as the chairperson of this portfolio committee, I also don't want to create a precedence, specifically has been mentioned that there are other cases as well. I don't want to create a precedence for future portfolio committees, to handle meetings in that fashion. Honorable Khabu, I see your hand.
Honorable Chair, thank you very much. I'm not sure if I'm audible.
You are audible. Please proceed, Honorable Member.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. It has been an hour now. Let me start passing my greetings to members on the platform, including our colleagues from the administration and the ministry, including from the board. Chair, I would want to raise with a concern. It has been an hour now sitting in this meeting. We are running around in cycles. not knowing whether this meeting must continue or not. And to a large extent, it seems like now this meeting was now convened to conduct this assessment as to whether would this meeting be legal or not. And it is my firm view that after an hour having listened to these discussions, Chair, I still believe that we don't have a reason why we could have called this meeting when the necessary consultation and legal sourced from the relevant committees. And it is for that firm reason that, Chair, if we are not clear as to whether must we sit or not in the next 30 minutes, then we don't see a reason why we should be continuing with this meeting. Because the explanation has been being presented over and over again that there are implications of us sitting. I don't see why must we not respect that legal advice. We can't define ourselves from the legal prescripts. So it's unfortunate, Chair, and I still don't understand how did it happen that your office as the Chair, including the Secretariat, you could not process this matter even before putting this matter on our program. Because it does not make sense for us to process an issue that is still sub judice. We will then be caught up in a situation whereby when we raise issues, we'll then be found wanting in terms of the legal prescripts. It is for that reason, Chairperson, I propose that we accept the advice, we close this meeting. It has been more than an hour now. We are running up in circles. We remove this matter and make sure that moving forward, Chairperson, let's process issues that we know that will not have any legal implication on our standing as a committee. And with that being said, Chairperson, I propose that we take the advice and we close this meeting and request you that moving forward, Chairperson, just make sure that we do not process issues that are still having a questionable legal standing. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Yeah, Honorable Khabo, I don't know whether I must respond to that because also now my office is also at stake here. I'm not too sure whether you're here since the starting of this meeting. I have mentioned that we have perused all avenues. And this discussion is in the way it is before us due to more information that has been brought to this table by the attorney. I see the minister is also in this meeting. I'm going to give the minister an opportunity to address us. Minister.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson. Good morning, Honorable Members of Parliament and everybody on this platform. I think firstly, Chair, I would agree with both you and Honorable Khabo. Firstly, I agree with how you've the transparency in which where we find ourselves in now. There would have been lots of accusations on your side if you have unilaterally decided that I'm not going to have, we are not going to listen to this. You've opened it, you've been very open and say, let me speak to the House Chair in here. So I want to congratulate you on that because you've made us all part of the decision. I think, and secondly, Honorable Khabo, I think is correct. You know, whatever we might decide here, there are people here that must be brought before the law. And they must never use this sitting today as a reason that they have been prejudiced in some form or another, real or unreal, perceived or really being there. So I would think there's no harm in truly following the advice of Honorable Khabo to say, I think we should adjourn this meeting until we have absolute clarity, because this, we should not fly next to the sun in this matter. So my advice is, but as I said, I want to congratulate you for transparently bringing it. This makes this.
Thank you, Minister.
Transparency. Thank you.
Thank you. The point has been made. I see the Honorable Mataung has clap hands there, Minister. Maybe it's because of it's Friday. Honorable Molotsani and then Honorable Tetwa. And then
I don't think so. I don't think it's Friday.
Honorable Molotsani, Tetwa, and then Honorable Potgieter. Before I'm going to make a ruling. And Makgato. And before I'm going to make a ruling in terms, like the Minister has said, of the advice given by the legal advisors, also in terms of the input of members of this portfolio committee. And thank you for that kind words, Minister. Honorable Molotsani.
Thank you.
I saw that you are in a car.
No ways, Chairperson. I will never do that. I respect the meeting.
Light-hearted. Proceed, Honourable Member.
Let me also greet everyone in the platform, all protocol observed, Chair. I think, Chair, I'm going to support what Honorable Khabu has just raised, Chairperson.
It has nothing to do with the ANC caucus, Honourable Molatane.
I don't even want to waste time, Chairperson. If we have to go in that route as the caucus, we support what Comrade Khabu has just raised in the meeting. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Molatani. Honourable Mtetwa.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honourable members. Morning, Minister, Department, the Board of NLSA, the Union, NEHAU. Good morning to our admin staff. I'm not a member of ANC, so as a member of EFF, I second the proposed adjournment of this meeting. Further to say that for the mere fact that the board, I don't know whether it was the chairperson or the legal advice of NLSA that has requested to consult, legally to consult. Such is taken very serious. We don't want to be left with the issue of answering to that, because even in the code of law, if you say you require to consult legally, they allow you to do so, regardless of whatever the situation may be. So based on that, I second the proposal for adjournment. Thanks, Chair. So it's no longer the caucus now.
It's Friday, yes. Honourable Potgieter.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe I'll follow on from the Honourable Mtetwa. For me, Chair, there is, and I think the Minister mentioned that there is a very real risk that we run in terms of, and I'm in the unfortunate position that I was not in the previous meeting, so I'm going off what I've read previously and obviously what's been provided for this meeting. But there is a very real risk that we stand a chance of affecting a case that is currently in motion, and I think that is probably the most valid point that's been made in respect to this discussion. Personally, I'm not comfortable proceeding on the basis that we may affect, sort of legalities that are underway. And if we can possibly get something from your side with regards to how we proceed on this matter, I would rather we handle it properly and efficiently than, for the sake of having a meeting, we engage on it and then we cause further problems down the line. Thanks.
Where's the braai, Honourable Potgieter? Honourable Kobani?
Thank you, Chair. I second to be this meeting to be urgent because we just wasting our time. I supported it. I vote.
Honourable Makhata.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. We just want to be on the same line to say let's support what the honourable members has said. Then we'll see in future how to come out. So I support what other honourables have said in this meeting. Thank you very much.
There's no hands. Can we just get clarification before I'm going to make a ruling from DSEC and NLSA? I need clarification as to whether this is indeed before the court.
Chairperson, the NLSA can confirm that the matter is before the court. The matter is there, and the matter relates to, and I'll give you detail, not sufficient detail, but the matter is where there is a claim for damage in the amount of 10 million. The defendant is the NLSA, the previous board of the National Library, the former DG of DSEC, and the former minister of DSEC. And the matter is set down for the 31st of May, 2027.
Thank you. Honorable members, under which former minister was this, Mr. Bernardo?
It is the minister. The matter happened in 2017. You know, I can't remember which was the minister.
Ted.
Yeah. Thank you, honorable member, for alluding the minister. I couldn't recall.
Thank you so much. Honorable members and guests, may I thank you for your contribution. Also, I would like to say to the Parliament legal advisor, now safe to say that I was satisfied that the presentation in front of us was, and the fact that no whistleblowers has been mentioned, that we could proceed with this meeting. Having considered the advice of the Parliament legal advisor, and also, as Mr. Bernardo indicated, the nature of the presentation before us, also, let me recognize Honorable Gabo for his input, except attempt to blame my office. I am satisfied that the content raises matters which may involve perhaps a possible court case against the portfolio committee. And in order, like many of you have indicated, to safeguard and protect the proceedings and compliance processes, I also want to extend a speedy reply in terms of what Mr. Bernardo has said pertaining to get legal advice for the particular presentation. But we must remember, we cannot keep those who are working for the state at bay and covering them. If we need to have discussions of those working for the state in reports, as the legal advisor has said, we should do that. So the committee will reconvene once the appropriate process has been followed to determine how such information should be handled. I thank members for their understanding, and I thank members for their cooperation. I thank the entity and the department for their consideration and their availability today. And I also want to thank members listening to you, all of you very carefully, for upholding the principles of fairness and protection and guide our work. With that said, honorable members, I will now declare this meeting adjourned.
Chairperson, we've raised our hands.
Honorable Molotani, I've made a ruling the meeting is adjourned unless you contribute something as far as the recommendations is concerned.
No, I'm not on the recommendations, Chairperson, but I've raised...
No, Honorable Molotani, I'm going to close the meeting. I've made a ruling that we don't have anything to discuss except that we are not going to have this meeting.
I'm not going to discuss the agenda.
What you
I'm not
said.
going to discuss the item that you've just closed, Chairperson. I'm not on that item, Chairperson. If you
but I've made a ruling, Honorable Molotani. Everyone I've given an opportunity to speak to make a ruling. And I've made a ruling and I adjourned the meeting. Can we please respect that? Honorable Potgieter, I see your hand is also on. Honorable Mtetwa, I see your hand is also on. Can we please adjourn this meeting after the consideration and inputs of members? I declare this meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted MKP to thank us because they've got a meeting at 11. So we've saved them. Thanks.
MK. Nah, this is on the next time. Yeah.
I hope in Abuya Njalo, you're not going to be changed. Hey, MKP changing people.
Man, you like too much talking.
You must come back. Please make sure that you come back. We still want you here.
Well, EFF go shala bunga kukhulume.